Okay, hey everybody, whoever might be on, I'm running a little bit behind here. Just getting my mount aligned outside here, and wouldn't you know it, beautifully clear skies have kind of changed to some intermittent clouds. So we'll see what we can do here. As soon as I get the product aligned, actually, I can actually show you what I'm doing with the alignment window here. This, by the way, is going to be a demo of the Lodestar, which is the X2, by the way. Lodestar X2 Camera is it's really a guider that's created by Starlight Express, which is primarily a European company, England. And this camera is pretty new. It's got a new Sony sensor that is supposed to be fairly sensitive, and for a long time people have actually been using, there we go, I'll share this desktop screen out here. This is my alignment process. So this star here that you're seeing in the window is what I'm centering up to go ahead and get the scope aligned. But anyway, the Starlight Express guider, Lodestar, is a very popular guider. In particular, there's been a number of people out in the European side of things who have been using the original camera as, well, best way I can describe it, as an assisted observing camera, meaning they're not really interested in taking pretty pictures. They are using the camera to observe, and that's kind of right up my alley, because that's exactly what I kind of like to do. Like to observe with this. It cuts through the light pollution, and you know what? It gets us the opportunity to go ahead and share this online, as we're doing not only here with the Google Plus Hangouts, but also via a wonderful site called Night Skies Network. But anyhow, as I'm trying to kind of double duty here and align and looking at multiple screens here, the Starlight Express camera really has come into its own, I think, with the release of software. This software is called LodestarLIVE by Paul Shears. Here you can see at the top. And really, I think this is what is really going to launch this to an all-new level, in my opinion, because it's just really easy to use. And that was one of the most impressive things from the system. Let me, I think this is a cloud rolling through my wide field view here. I'm trying to bring in. Very easy to use. I had a great first light experience with the setup too, just last week. I think it was Thursday, and maybe it was Wednesday, but Wednesday or Thursday, I had a great first light with it and was very impressed with it. So I figured I would get on here and give people a little bit of an idea on the setup. Now, a little bit more background, by the way, is as far as live imaging or assisted viewing, I have used a video setup, which is essentially, I started out with a modified Samsung SCB2000. I've actually used that on the virtual star parties here a number of times with, you know, Fraser Kane and all the team there at the virtual star parties. I also used a Meade DSi-2 camera. That is a traditional CCD camera, no longer produced, but a very, very good entry-level CCD, pure astronomical CCD setup, USB completely. And in fact, I'm using that right now as my guided camera on the scope outside. But I used that setup to also do some semi-live imaging. Then Cam, if you've never heard of them, they are a Canadian company. Rock Malin has produced really some fantastic astronomical video systems, video cameras, and I've picked up a Junior Pro from him to go ahead and use as well. It looks like I got some thick clouds now because I'm not even seeing anything through my wide field of view. Darn it. Well, let's just see. We're going to add one more calibration star and then I should be ready to go, and hopefully by then these darn clouds will roll out. So anyhow, I've tried a few different setups with the purpose of sharing the views online, as well as myself putting these setups together to kind of enjoy the live views at the eyepiece and do observing myself with a lot of fun. So I have a couple of different setups that I've used. And let's see, I'm not sure. I'm kind of new, by the way, to the Google Hangouts. At least I've been able to join them, obviously, before with the virtual star parties, but running them is a completely different beast. So forgive me here if I have to pause to kind of get my bearings from time to time with all of the different windows. I have obviously the window up for the Google Hangout. I have the Lodestar camera window up. I have the web up on another window monitor, and then of course I have my remote connection to a laptop outside, which is connected to the telescope, which is going to be doing the controlling of the telescope and the guiding here. So got a lot of things going on. So back here to the software, LodestarLIVE. This was basically a software written by Paul Shears. This is a beta version. He has not released it so far. I don't know of any other pricing right now. The beta is even free, so honestly I don't know if Paul is doing this just out of the goodness of his heart and releasing a great product to the astronomical community. Go ahead and use the capabilities of the Lodestar camera. But so far it's a great little package. So basically, now that I have my alignment done, we can go ahead and start reviewing some of the steps here on the camera itself. You notice this vertical tabs here, the display properties. This is where you're going to adjust the gamma, the black level, white level. Make some on-the-fly adjustments here for that just to show you here. Brighten up, etc. Very easy. Oh, by the way, the Lodestar X2 is a monochrome camera, USB connection, very small chip by CCD standards, but comparable, I would say, to the Junior Pro and other guide cameras, certainly, and also, I think, to the DSI camera that I've had. This particular version, however, is monochrome, so we're not going to get color. They are, however, releasing, I believe, they have not released it yet, but they are looking to release an X2 version with a color sensor. So just giving that out there. So I'm connected via USB to the scope, and I'm broadcasting from inside and controlling the scope remotely. All right, so this again, here's the Lodestar software. As you can see, I have this little red reticle up, and this is to help alignment. Right here, the mode is the focus, alignment, and framing. I'm not going to use dark frames because frankly I haven't needed that yet, but that's an option that you can capture some dark frames and then I believe auto subtract that later on. And of course, standard image acquisition. I just clicked on that. And of course, right up here you have your exposure settings and your start, stop, and reset properties right up here in the upper left. Now it has a number of exposure presets conveniently right here. So we can go ahead and do a set exposure for 5 seconds. Click that. Right at the bottom, you'll see the exposure. And it'll refresh, bada bing, right there up on the screen. You notice when we were in the acquisition mode, by the way, too, that the vertical tabs here, we started out with 3. We now have a few different more. So let's go to image export. I really like this feature because this will basically, you can put information regarding the image that you're using. I have my telescope and the exposure settings here, plus the target name. When you hit set, it'll go ahead and put it nicely and conveniently right at the bottom of the image, right along the border here. So that's really nice. Lets you keep track of what you're doing via the software and what you're doing via the targets that you're observing. Settings, you have this display scaling, fast and smooth. I really have only messed with smooth because I obviously want the quality to be there. And something kind of new here, stacking. Now, a couple of catches here with the stacking. There is no timeout for the stacking. What I mean by that is with some applications, you can go ahead and say, I want to stack 10 frames or 5 frames or 8 frames, whatever it might be. This particular thing just keeps going and going and going. I think with the couple of versions coming out, they're going to change that. Sum, mean, and median, that's just different levels of stacking. I've used sum, as you would think, that brightens up the image detail quite a bit, but sometimes, frankly, it washes it out. I think mean and median is probably ones that will be the most used. Keyframe control, honestly, I don't know what that is. I haven't really used it. And of course, you have some predetermined low pass 5x5, 3x5, or 3x3. I've only used the low pass currently myself. And you can, of course, reset those properties of stacking right from here. So anyway, I got the scope aligned. Why don't we go ahead and go to our first target, and I am going to actually bring up the chat window here in case anyone is interested too in one thing I haven't been able to get working or figuring out yet in Google Plus Hangouts is the Q&A part that's tied in with the page. Sorry about that. Hey there, Tom. Yes, timestamps we can do that back on, had a question there from Tom. You can do that, let's see, I'm almost certain it does that automatically. Let's just do this. Click on test here, click on set. And if you click on save, okay, notice that when you click on save, it will timestamp the image. Let me just bring that up real quick here. And what I'll do is I'll share this out, Tom, with you so you can kind of see what the timestamp feature is used. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go back to sharing out a window here for you so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Okay, so now, yes, you should be able to see the saved image that we just did. And you notice that the name I had was test. That's the first parameter, right over test. The scope and the author, and then the date with the exact time. All right, so hopefully you got that. And I'll just reply. Save images with the time stamp on them nicely. Okay, so I'll kind of keep track of those here as we go. So let me get back to sharing out the application window. Where's my application? There it is. Okay, start screen share. And now, yes, you should be back seeing what I'm seeing back on the window. Okay, so we are going to go to, we're going to go ahead and get to some deep sky targets here. Let's go ahead. I'm trying to think where I'm about pointed in the sky. Why don't we just go ahead and go to a deep sky target that I'm pretty sure should be up. We're going to go to M80. I know that's a relatively bright target, but we're going to go to this and we're going to see what we can see. M80, of course, is a globular cluster, and what I'll do is, again, this is not optimum conditions that I have outside. I can see that we have some clouds passing through, but at least we can get to showcasing the product, the CCD camera, with its with the Lodestar software. Paul's really done an exceptionally good job with it, because after coming from video, in particular the Monochrome Junior stuff, and this is not really a dig at anybody, I will just tell you though, anyone that has used the cameras, the Monochromes, there's quite a few settings that you need to manage and change and do, you know, all kinds of this, that, and the other thing in order to see a decent image. With this particular setup, you're not really having to do too much. Now, of course, this is a 5-second exposure. I can barely see M80 on the screen. So let's just see what we can brighten up here. As you notice, I'm sliding the white, and this is in 5 seconds of an exposure, and I'm betting probably through some clouds. Whoa, that's too much. Let me adjust that down. Let me slide that down a little bit. Just kind of adjusting it to where I'm satisfied with it. This is just a 5-second exposure, and I think, as you can see, the histogram up here, by the way, this is the histogram in the upper left, how it seems to be changing. I'm betting that that's some of those clouds passing through. But certainly this 5-second exposure, I will tell you, is probably very similar to what you would get at the eyepiece of, say, an 8-inch aperture scope. I mean, it's very similar what you would get visually. And this is even through some clouds here. So let's see what we can do. We can up it to, let's double it. Let's say set exposure. I clicked. You notice down at the bottom the exposure bar is moving slower, thus indicating excuse me, we have the different exposure going. And there it is. It's a little bit brighter. In fact, a little bit of the core of M80 is already getting a little bit blown out. I'm adjusting the contrast just to where I'm happy, and there we are. We can go over here. This is again on the image export tab. I can go ahead and say M80. A little drift to my scope. This is only 10 seconds, so M80, I'm going to set this, and I'm going to click save, and it'll automatically save that image to the directory with the timestamp on it. And let me go ahead and I'll share that out real quick for everybody to see what I'm talking about. Here we go, share. I believe this is the image. There we are. So you can see with the automatic, not automatic, there obviously is some settings that you need to do that and save the image, but it puts a nice little bar there at the bottom with a good summarization of the capture with your timestamp. So you no longer have to guess really of when did I do that. It's right there. So it's a great way to go ahead and keep track of what you're observing. One thing too you will note that, let's see here, I'm losing my place here. Okay, so one thing that you will note here again, you can really go up higher as far as exposures, but being that this is meant for a real-time observation platform software combo, you know, I've done longer exposures, don't get me wrong, when I'm utilizing a Junior Pro, but I think this is pretty good for live, going ahead and using something like this. So let's go up to something a tad bit longer here, and I'm probably not going to get very round stars with this, but let's just see what we get with a 30-second exposure. Yeah, Tom, being that this is a, you know, this occultations, I mean, just really anything you can think of, I guess, using for it. It's smaller field of view, but not too bad. Up, I think we got clouds. Let me go back to my other window here. Yeah, I can clearly see here, and let me just, I'm going to share this out too so everyone can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. Boy, there's a lot of windows here to manage. There we go. I will share out my remote desktop connection so that you can see. This is the wide field. I'm using a 50mm finder, and you can see all that muck moving through the image. 1 second, 1.5 second is a clouds. So we're going to wait till them to pass through here. All right, yeah, Tom, I'm familiar with AstroVid. You know, one of the things too that grabbed me with this setup, simplicity. It is a single USB cable that goes from the small camera, and this thing is tiny. I mean, this is probably, in fact, I do have an eyepiece right here. This is a 26mm eyepiece, Plossl. The Lodestar camera is not that much longer than this eyepiece. It's this wide because it fits right into your 1.25" diagonal or right into the visual back of the telescope. But it's not a very large device. A single USB connection on the back, and that's it. Now that varies differently from a video setup because you generally have a composite video connection, power cable to the camera. So there's at least 2 with my Samsung. Then you're talking to the computer that you're using, a USB device to, of course, connect the composite and bring that analog signal into the computer. Again, this isn't really a dig, but this is just the way it is. I'm just explaining things with video and the difference here. With the Junior Pro, the PC edition that I have, you're talking the composite video. You can run the power. Okay, if you have a composite cable with the power integrated with it, you're not really running two cables, but at least you do have a power connection at the scope. Okay, but then there's the proprietary connector for controlling the camera via USB. So that's at least two connections, possibly three, depending upon if you have the power cable integrated into it. And then, of course, to your computer, now you need a USB for your USB frame grabber device. You also need the USB for the control capability of the mount cam. So, you know, there's some differences there. Again, this is, if I'm talking about simplicity, it is what it is. You can't really deny that it's a little bit more of a connection here. Connectivity problem there. Well, not really a problem, but there's more to it. Put it that way. Now, the software, listen, I don't think anybody that has a Cam will tell you, especially with the MiloSlick software, that you do have to pay for if you opt. But ROC does include a camera control software with it. I don't think you'll get an honest, if you get an honest answer from them, there are just so many different settings for these devices that you can do. It takes a while to know the settings and to get really familiar with the settings. Man, I'm hoping these clouds will move out, but they are still on the view. Yeah, that's a tiny camera, Tom, and that's great because it's for guiding, right? You want something that is small, not a lot of weight to it. It's a small camera, no doubt. All right, well, maybe we got a little bit of pass. Seemed like the image brightened up a bit here. No, I'm still going through. But back to the software itself, I mean, really and truly, you can see there's a histogram display here. Now, let me get back to the software rather than you looking at me all the time. There we go. So sorry about that. Back to the software here. Here's our M80. This is a 30-second exposure through some clouds right now. I can tell you that because I'm viewing the clouds as they pass through the wider field of view on my finder / guide camera outside. There's the black level. There we go. That's a little bit cleaner. It must be moving out cloud. Black level, white level. I usually slide the black right up, almost right up against the histogram bar there. Whoa, you can really blow it out, you can see. And I mean, a couple of clicks, and to me, that's a very nice little quick grab of a globular cluster. If you want to darken it up a little bit, and that is 30 seconds. We didn't even have to go 30 seconds. We could probably be pretty satisfied with a 15-second exposure. So we'll go back from 30 to 15 on this particular object. Of course, your exposure is going to vary based upon what objects you're kind of gunning for out there. But you can see how quick and easy it is to go ahead and we must have a cloud going through. There we go. Make a couple of adjustments. I gotta slide my black level over, drop my white down, level down a little bit, maybe adjust my contrast. And you know, this is all trial and error, but you can see it's very easy to manipulate. And there you go. I mean, that to me that's quite satisfying. So pretty good with that. Now, unfortunately, I'm not sure if my conditions are going to be well enough here with these clouds really to show a whole lot. And I know a few people have seen some of the images that I've done already with this during the first light. But you know what? Let's try to see what we get for M57. So we're going to go to a different type of target. This is, of course, the ring. Oops, the Ring Nebula. All right, now, of course, we're using our go-to right now. So I'm just going to drop this down to. I'm going to stop the exposure. I'm going to set the exposure. I'm going to start it back up at 5-second loops. This is for purpose mostly of centering. This is going to be a little while because M57 is in a different area of the sky than our M80. And I can tell as we're slewing through the different area of the sky, my wide field guide camera there is just picking up all kinds of clouds. I was really hoping this would be a little, well, not a little better. I was really hoping it would be much better conditions out here for this. But we'll see what we can find here. So getting back to some of the differences with this versus some other kinds of devices for the purpose of at least live viewing. Okay, there's M57 right there in 5 seconds. I'm not sure if we're looking through any clouds or anything. But let me point this out here. This is the Ring Nebula. This is a 5-second exposure, and we are already picking up the central star and the second star. 1, 2. In 5 seconds. Now, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big one on the whole, well, I can do this in 5 seconds. You can do that in... I'm just pointing out that it's a decently sensitive camera. We're going to do a 30-second exposure here on the Ring, and let's see what we can bring up here. Right now, from my guide camera, it looks like there's not a whole lot of clouds through that area, so that's good. My tracking, however, I'm using a very modest scope, a C8, and a very modest, look at this, 30-second Ring Nebula. That's impressive. 1 star, 2 star, 3 stars. Already picked up. And I'm betting if I make some adjustments here based on our histogram. Yeah, my tracking is getting thrown off here. Maybe I should start doing I want to start doing a quick calibration on guiding, actually. You're going to see this moving all over the place for a moment. But let's drop this down to 15 seconds. The effect that you're seeing, by the way, is the fact that I'm doing a calibration on the mount. Let's go ahead and get some guiding done. But what I can do here is I've had some previous images. There we go. While we're waiting on the mount to align so that we can get another live image up on the screen, let me show you a previous grab. This is M57 done on the 25th at 0:49 local time, and this is 30-second exposure. It was a very good night, obviously. Now we picked up just in our exposure here this evening 1, 2, 3 stars too, but what I was gunning for is this little smudge over here. This little smudge right here is actually a galaxy, an IC galaxy. 1296 is the designation. That is magnitude 14. So nice round stars, because I was guiding, and picking up, if the night permits, with decent transparency, a pretty decent view. Got a little bit to go here with our calibration routine. But I sure hope I'm not missing anybody here in the chats. And I keep forgetting to turn on the Google Events Q&A feature before I go into the broadcast. So I gotta remember to do that. Oh, Tom, hey, by the way, if you are still on board, I'm going to be doing a broadcast on Wednesday. It's going to be semi-regular. It's going to be myself, a gentleman that runs a fantastic Facebook group called Telescope Addicts. That group, he's brought it from very small numbers up to over 10,000. Michael Phillips, which you know from the virtual star parties. And then Craig and Tammy Temple, which is a wonderful married couple here in Tennessee that are doing that do fantastic astrophotography. They've been published, and we're doing this on Wednesday, and basically it's going to be just talking about equipment, astronomical events going on, more so along the lines of amateur astronomy and doing amateur astronomy. Mike might be doing some broadcasting live, and if the weather permits, I don't see why I wouldn't do any broadcasting live as well. So kind of not like the virtual star parties, being that it's not primarily focused on live sharing. But if you're wanting an invite, let me know. You can hop on and chat with all of us if you want. So high dynamic range, is that what HDR type stacking is? I know that Tom is putting some things in here on the events page. Let me check out what my guiding's doing. Okay, good. It just actually started guiding. Oh, it's scooted it out of the field of view on me too. Let me try to bring this. Let me try to bring this down. Let me drop my exposure down to 5 seconds just so that I can center this up, hopefully. Set exposure, 5 seconds. There we go. See where we're at. I can see, I can see some clouds too. Darn it. In the finder scope, I'm definitely seeing some clouds moving through. Just trying to bring M57 back into my field of view. Let me do this. There we go. There's M57. Let me see if I can get it a little bit over to the right. Of course, I'm going the wrong way. Can barely see the ring right now in the image, but I'm just trying to get it centered up. And once we get it centered up, we'll check out another. We'll stop and we'll do some 30-second exposures here. And what I'm looking for is I'm curious to see if we can pick up the IC Galaxy at 30 seconds tonight. Now, we don't have great conditions tonight, like I said, so we may not. But we'll see what we got. So again, I mean, it's very quick to navigate through this program. I really like the layout. Very easy to get through, and here is our M57. I mean, to me, that just looks great. I mean, look at the detail that we're picking up in the galaxy, or I'm sorry, in the Ring Nebula itself. I mean, we could drop it, we could make it a little bit, there we go. Whoops, I clicked it there. There we go. And there's our, geez, hold on, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm not even sharing out my screen. There we are. Too many windows. Sorry about that. Now you're seeing what I'm seeing on my application window. This is LodestarLIVE. This is a live image of M57, the Ring Nebula. And yes, we are picking up a magnitude 14 galaxy right here. But look at the detail that we're getting in the ring there. I'm gonna do a quick save. That's how easy it is for you to save the image too. I mean, couple clicks and you can save your image. Yeah, I mean, really, people can sit there and take astro photos and not have this turn out so well. Let's try some of the stacking. Okay, so let's see what we got when we do this. I honestly haven't messed too much with the stacking, to be completely honest with you. Let's see what we got here. So you notice on the bottom left here, it says stacked 1. So we'll continue to get this stacked. Now I selected the median stack, or the mean stack. Not really sure what the difference is, to be completely honest with you, because you know what? This is only my second time using the software. All right, so 1 stack. So for some reason, it did not stack the second one yet. Oh, no, there it goes. Okay, so this is 2 stacked. So I'm trying to pick up a little bit of what might have changed. I don't know. But, I mean, The software is easy to use, the camera is sensitive enough, and that's really what I wanted to showcase live here, and do this for this evening, because it's a pretty nice combo. It's a monochrome camera. I know we're not picking up color. I know people like color. Honestly, I love monochrome because it's easier for me to see. Not see, but it's easier for me to manipulate the image. I don't have to mess with all these different color balances. I'm not interested in this as far as astrophotography goes. I'll be real honest with you. I'm interested in this for observing with myself and sharing this online with folks, because even too with monochrome, this is about what you're going to see if you had a really dark sky sight and you had a decent sized scope. You might not see it quite this nice, but it's going to come close. And that's that. Really just wanted to go ahead and showcase the software. It's, as you can see, very, very easy to use. That's the other thing that I'm mostly impressed with. Yeah, I mean, we're up to 6 right now, Tom, and I think we've even expanded upon a little bit more of the outer lobe here and here. At least it looks like that to me. If you're able to pick up that. Yep, monochrome, you get that right. Monochrome has higher resolution. Every single pixel is dedicated to picking up the photons and giving the image the details necessary. You're not dealing with what is called a Bayer matrix over the CCD, thus decreasing some of your sensitivity. I've seen people say 15%, 20%. I'm not going to go there. I'll just say it decreases it, but I'm going after the most amount of detail that I can possibly see, and I'd rather deal, frankly, with monochrome than with color for this particular use, because it's just easier. So we're coming up on just about an hour. Trying to think if there's a different object. I'm going to start up something real quick here. A planetarium program. We can take a look around, see what we can find as far as another type of challenging object. Tom, if you do have a suggestion, I'm open for it. Globular clusters look wonderful in this, obviously, because I do like the very nice roundish stars that you can get. Last week I was also doing some galaxies with this particular setup. Impressed picking up some smaller galaxies out of the detail. Of course, we have lots of things out there. We can go for why don't we go for something like the Trifid Nebula? We haven't done a planetary nebula. Let's go ahead. I'm sorry, not a planetary nebula. The M57 obviously is a planetary nebula. The Trifid is just a reflection nebula, I believe. Yeah, reflection nebula. And an emission nebula, actually, because you have the red and the blue. So let's go ahead and do that. So, man, I'm going to snap one more save image here for this, and we'll say goodbye to this great image that we're seeing live of M57. We'll drop it down to a 5-second exposure to help with just centering up, and I'm going to go to M20, and that'll be our last object before we roll for tonight's little live demo here at the hour. All right, so we are slewing. There we go. Now, of course, you know, these types of things, Trifid, you got M8, the Lagoon. I've seen these in the color mount cam, and they do a great job. It really does with these types of bright nebula. But I'm just curious in seeing what we can do with the monochrome here on this particular object. So we'll bring that in. That'll be our last one here for tonight. And again, I just wanted to demo the software and the camera itself from a brief introduction and give you an idea how easy it is to use it. I will say, by the way, the price point of the X2 is approximately $650, if I'm not mistaken, which means it's actually quite affordable, not only as a guider, but as what we're using it here. Yep, $649 for the Lodestar. All right, so let's see what we got. I think this looks like a familiar field of view for the Trifid. I'm going to increase this to a 30-second exposure, and we'll see what we got. Go back to our display properties because that's usually where we make our adjustments. Something's not set right here because set 30-second exposures. There we go. Now it seems to be counting down a little bit. And I can see we're getting some intermittent clouds again through our wide field, but let's just see what we can bring in here. Now, this is not going to be a very wide field of view. Usually with these types of targets, M20, M8, etc., M16, you're really benefiting from a wide field of view. This is a smaller field of view with this particular setup. Swing. Wow. There it is. I didn't quite expect it to pop up like that, but okay, great. We are right there in the heart of the Trifid. Lots of detail getting shown there. How's that, Tom? I mean, we're really able to see these dust veins in here just really coming through quite well. I'm going to start stacking this. Let's see what we can do with the sum stack. Okay, and again, this is looping 30-second exposures. So there's not really a whole lot we have to do. Couple of adjustments, and we have a very satisfactory image up on the screen to share as well as to enjoy ourselves to observe. Not sure what magnitude any of these stars are, but love the fact that these are nice and round. Whoa, okay. Let me drop that down. Now we're using the sum. I'm not exactly sure what this one's doing, but I think it's adding it up and up and up and up and up, which maybe we don't want to do. Let's go back to the mean and see what that gets us for this. And do we have some clouds rolling through? bit of movement here in the scope. Oh, I'm not guiding. Sorry. I thought I hit my guide. There we go. All right, let's slide my black level back. Let's slide that up a little bit. Let's drop our contrast back down. We should get a steadier image here shortly, hopefully. Let me uncheck the stack since motion is probably not going to benefit us here with the stack. A lot of drift there. No, actually, Tom, I'm not. One of the things that I wanted to go ahead and use, I have an actual light pollution suppression filter. One of the things I wanted to do later on tonight is actually do some comparison views, exposures, etc. between the light pollution filter and, you know, just raw images. But no, currently I am not using any type of filter. And I am from Murfreesboro. I'm definitely in a very bright suburban area. And this right now is to my south. Actually, to my south is actually right now probably my darkest area, but not by much, let me tell you. Ooh, that one really gets the dust mains to come out quite well. I like how that's a brightening area here showing up too. Again, we're doing our stacks. I don't think this is obviously we're not up to 17 stacks. I think it didn't reset the number from the last time. But this is M20. Yeah, 30 seconds. Our black level, we can slide that back over just a tad. And again, there's no real way to, this is just all based upon what looks good to me, which I'm just sliding these sliders around. There's no set way you need to do, you know, X, Y, or Z here. I like that. That's pretty. I'm going to actually save the image here. Oh, there, image export, save. Note that it automatically names the file the right thing with the info. And that's it. So, if you all are interested, I'm probably going to be on Night Skies Network later on tonight doing some more tests, probably with the different filters, Tom. The channel is at the Eyepiece, so come on in if you want. But as far as tonight's Google Hangout here, giving a demo of the Lodestar X2 with LodestarLIVE, I think we've got that mission accomplished. So I am going to wrap it up for now. I appreciate you, Tom, coming on in. It was good to chat with you there, at least from a perspective of typing back and forth. And let me know if you want to join us on Wednesday and add any type of commentary, whatever you might want to do. Just completely up to you. Just throwing that out there. So good night for now, and maybe I'll see you on later on Night Skies Network. Thanks for stopping in, everybody.